Gelman. I'm a licensed naturopathic doctor. You may be wondering what a naturopathic doctor is. Essentially, we're trained in both conventional medicine and in natural therapies to bring the best of both worlds to our patients. As naturopathic doctors, we use conventional medicine when we feel there's a need, but really our expertise is in natural therapies, so we tend to always use that as a first-line therapy. Now, I realized through my studies that a lot of people don't really believe sometimes in natural medicine because they're just confused and misinformed, and rightfully so. So I've decided I wanted to develop a series of videos on different natural therapies just to try to empower the public to understand and be educated, what the myths are, the common confusions are, just to clarify so you can decide if natural therapies is something you would like to use. In this video, we're going to cover the natural therapy called homeopathy. Now, I choose to do homeopathy as my first video series because I use it with every single patient. I find it to be the most holistic of all the natural therapies, by far the safest, and quickest acting. So I have a lot of trust in it, and I want to try to educate the public and also my existing patients why I use it and what to expect with it. In this segment, we're going to answer the common questions about what homeopathy is, how it works, when it works. We'll go into these details. So to begin what homeopathy is, if you go to a natural health food store, you're going to see a myriad of all different supplements and vitamins. Now what homeopathy is specifically though, looks like these little vials, okay? This is homeopathic remedy. They're not the big bottles of pills or the little tinctures or any of that. This is homeopathy. Now to answer what it is, homeopathy comes from a lot of different natural substances. It can come from plant sources, it can come from mineral sources, it can even come from animal sources. And they're diluted into very, very small doses, which makes them very, very safe. And we're going to go into detail about that in a second. The one biggest thing that I really want to emphasize is how unique and holistic homeopathy is. So for example, this is a homeopathic kit. Okay, these are common, a lot of people like to have them at home. Now, a kit can consist of 100 different remedies. Now, these are all homeopathic remedies. There can be probably over 20 different remedies in here, all indicated for bronchitis. Someone comes in to see me with a cough, there could be hundreds of different remedies for that cough. In this case alone, there's like 20 remedies. Now, what's unique about homeopathy is that it's very personalized. So I need to know the exact details about that cough, in addition to a lot of other information, and then I can choose the exact remedy that fits your cough. You're probably wondering how homeopathy works. How can these tiny little pellets be so indicated for such unique symptoms? How does this work? Well, to answer the question, I'm going to explain it in two folds. The first part of how homeopathy works is that it stimulates your own healing response in your body. So there's not a necessary mechanism of action. We don't know there's like a biochemical pathway that it's being triggered. All it does, it stimulates your own healing response. So for example, what does this mean, healing response? Anyone gets a cut, okay? Simple cut. Your skin breaks. Your body knows exactly how to heal. Brings the skin together and your body heals. Same with a common cold. You're sick for a few days, your body knows how to heal itself, and before you know it, you're well. Now at times though, you can get sick enough where the body is trying its best to compensate and to heal, but at times it needs a little bit of a stimulus to help it heal through that process. And that's what homeopathy does. When you get the correct stimulus to help with the healing process, then you're on your way to getting better. Now a second part of this, you may be asking, well, how does this little stimulus, this little natural substance, help with the healing process? Well, in homeopathy, there's a law called the law of similars, and that is like cures like. Essentially, simply put, it means that the substance that can cause symptoms is the same substance that can cause cure. Now this could be kind of confusing. It was definitely confusing to me at first. So better me give you an example instead of just give you some of these. Let's start with the example of coffee. Everyone knows coffee really well. Now coffee, taken in large amounts, is what people want for high energy, for wakefulness, for good alertness and such. Now When given in homeopathic doses, which is small amounts of coffee, it's actually indicated for those exact same symptoms of restlessness, wakefulness, too much energy, especially at night when someone's trying to go to bed. So homeopathic coffee is indicated for insomnia, whereas when you take it in large doses, it's going to produce those same effects. Now, another example is the common food onion. We all know when we dice an onion, our eyes water, our nose runs. Well, in small doses of onion called allium cepa, homeopathically, it's actually indicated for colds that cause runny eyes, lacrimation, and nasal discharge that's a little bit acrid. And it cures them of their cold. So this is just an example of that law of similars I was saying, like cures like. And this is how the body is stimulated to heal. Now, you may be thinking, how can such small doses of a substance have an effect on the human body? Well, it's a really good question. I had the same question before when I was learning about homeopathy. So to clarify, I like to think about vaccine shots. We know vaccine shots are organisms that cause a reaction in the body, and when diluted very, very small, minute doses, when exposed to the body, we know that it helps prevent future infections. Now, take allergy shots. Allergy shots are somewhat similar as well. When we figure out what the allergen is that the patient is sensitive to, we dilute it, we introduce that into the body, and then we know that they are able to overcome their allergens much better. These are just two examples of how we use this all the time in conventional medicine, and this is an example of how these small doses can really have a powerful effect on our human body and stimulate the healing response. Okay. So how popular is homeopathy in the world? Well, in India alone, over 100 million people use homeopathy as their sole medical treatment. In Europe, it's very, very common. In Germany alone, 98% of pharmacies carry homeopathic remedies. And in France, 72% of physicians there refer to people to get homeopathic remedies. So it's really, really well appreciated and well utilized in these countries. Now, this therapy's been around since the late 18th century. So there's a lot of good wisdom being built year after year, just so we can get even more precise to find the remedy that's right for you. All right, so when can homeopathy be used? Well, homeopathy can be used for anyone. They can be used for the young, they can be used for the old. In fact, my children patients are the best reacting of the patients because they have such strong vitality. Now, as we know, as we went over, homeopathy stimulates the body to heal, which means that it stimulates your immune system, or it stimulates a body healing response. Now, that kind of response is similar to how we spike fevers. So with kids, we know that when they get sick, they spike fevers all the time. It's just their body reacting to the organism to fight on its own. With adults, we get sick, we spike fevers, but not as often, just because our healing response is a little bit slower now that we're getting older. And as elderly patients, when they get sick, it's even longer for their healing response to get triggered. Now that's why kids are so sensitive to homeopathy and their reactions are so quick. With adults, it still works, still quick, maybe not as quick as kids, but their healing response is still up and going, and same with the elderly. Now, it's such a safe therapy. I'll use this with newborns, I'll use it with my pregnant patients, I'll use it with patients lactating. I have no problem. Very, very safe, very effective. Now, homeopathy can be used for both acute and chronic conditions. Acute conditions being an injury, a sprain or strain of an ankle, earaches that kids commonly get. Now with acute reactions, homeopathy works very quickly. We're going to know if this person's reacting within minutes, at the most within an hour or two. It's also indicated in chronic conditions. Chronic conditions could be anywhere from irritable bowel syndrome, could be PMS, menopausal symptoms, things that have reactions over time. Now, with chronic conditions, homeopathy works really, really well, but it does take some time to work. As long as we're steadily improving over time, we know that we're on the right path to cure. So what can you expect with taking a homeopathic remedy? Well, the number one thing you can expect is a holistic response. What I mean by that is that you'll get a body-wide response. So for example, you have a cough, and you find that correct remedy that helps with the cough. Great, but that's not enough for me. when I know that a patient's reacting to a homeopathic remedy, not only is their cough better, but their whole being is better, meaning that they're sleeping better, their energy level is better, their mental emotional mood is better. So this is what I expect from a good reaction to a remedy. And if I only see the physical symptoms get better, it's not the right remedy. I need to see that body-wide approach, the holistic approach improve, okay? The other thing that I always tell every patient when they're taking a remedy is that there could be 5 possible outcomes, okay? The first outcome that could happen with a remedy is that nothing happens, okay? It's a possibility. It just means that we got the wrong remedy. Remember, if it's not the right remedy, it just won't stimulate the healing process. Luckily, there's no side effects, it's affordable, we move on to the next remedy. The second possible reaction, what can happen, is that you take the remedy and all of a sudden an old symptom comes back from even your childhood. So for example, let's say as a child you had eczema and you went to the doctor and they possibly gave you a cortisone cream to give just to help with the inflammation. It's a very typical prescription. Now what that cortisone cream is doing is just that it's suppressing the symptoms. It's not curing it, but it's definitely managing it very well. Well, now after all these years, you take a homeopathic remedy, sometimes that old symptom can return. Now this is actually a very good sign. It may not be comfortable. Luckily, it doesn't come back with as much of a vengeance and it doesn't come back for as long. But what this is doing is that it's just stimulating that healing response. It brings back those symptoms, and now the healing response is going to take care of that, and it's going to cure those old symptoms. So that's another outcome that can happen. That's number 2. The third possibility that can happen is when you take a remedy, is that the symptoms that you come in with make it a little bit worse before they get better. What we call is that this is called an aggravation of symptoms. Now, although uncomfortable, this is a very good sign to us as a prescribing doctor because we see that your body is now adjusting to this medicine and now it's going to have to mount a healing response to then fight off this reaction. This is a very good way that our bodies just know how to fight and heal on its own. Now this aggravation won't last very long and it will always follow with an improvement in all your systems. Of all your symptoms, excuse me. Now, the fourth response is that new symptoms come. Okay, you take the remedy and all of a sudden, new symptoms come about. Now, we don't call these side effects. First of all, this is very, very rare that it happens. It happens with very sensitive patients. We call these effects that the body has. Now, when these new symptoms come about, this is very important information for the doctor prescribing the medicine. That means that we're so close to that right medicine and that those new symptoms are giving us information into what the right remedy is. Sometimes with the first interview, you may not have enough symptoms or you may not have enough detailed information to explain the symptoms for us to get to that right remedy. But if you take that remedy and new symptoms come up, that information is so important for that next remedy and then you can get cured. That's really important information. Now, the fifth outcome is that we get that right remedy, your symptoms clear up, your mental emotional state's better, your sleep's better, your energy's better, and we're on your way to cure. So what is it like to visit a homeopath and to take the interview? How do we come up with the best remedy? Well, a good interview is the key to finding the best remedy. The reason is because as the patient, they need to explain in as much descriptive detail, as clear as possible, their symptoms, so that as the prescribing doctor, we can know which remedy is best for the patient. So for example, the interview entails, first off, a pretty long session. It can entail anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours sometimes, depending on the complexity of the case, sometimes even more. We're going into great detail, not only of the main symptom, but of the entire being. So we're going to go into sleep, and we're going to go into your energy levels, and I'll go into more detail on what we're looking for. But what to expect is that as the patient, you're in the driver's seat. You're the one that needs to take some time to be mindful and to share with us your experience of what is causing you suffering. And when you could be as clear as possible, that's when we're going to get to that right medicine. Because remember, we use the similars, the similars of like cures like. So we need to match your exact symptoms to the symptoms that that remedy produces. Once we get that match, we're off to that right remedy. So in order to find that right remedy, there's information that we need from our patients that you may not even think to uncover. And so I want to just kind of go into detail with what we're looking for. So specifically, if you've got a main complaint, a main concern, what we're looking for are as detailed possible descriptions of it. For example, what makes that concern better or worse? Does it radiate anywhere if it's a pain? Is there something that it's associated with? Is there another symptom that comes along with it? So for example, maybe your main concern are headaches. Well, a headache could be on your left side. It could be better with pressure. It could radiate from your temple to the back of your head, your occiput, and it could be much, much better with a cold compress. Now that headache is very different than someone with a right-sided headache that throbs and that just stays localized in that area. Cold makes it much, much worse, but heat makes it so much better. And with that headache comes a lot of nausea. So that's just an example of how unique these symptoms can be, even though we're treating a headache. So that's very important how clear you are with it. Now, you may think you just want to stop there, but remember, it's a very holistic medicine, so we need to know a lot more. What I'm interested in is the rhythms of some of your body functions. So for example, the rhythms of your sleep. Some people wake up in the middle of the night. Some people have a difficult time falling asleep. Some people don't wake refreshed. I'm interested in that kind of rhythm for you. The other kind of rhythms I'm interested in is like your appetite. Some people get cravings and get hunger pains immediately when they wake up. Some people can go all day long without eating. What are your cravings? What are your food cravings? Your thirst cravings? These are all very important information for me. Another rhythm that you can think about is even your bodily functions, like perspiration. Do you perspire? Where do you perspire? Is there an odor to the perspiration? These are very important details. In addition to some of these rhythms, I also think about mental emotional disturbances or imbalances, let's say. Are you intensely fearful of things? Do you have phobias? Do you get angry easily? Do you get irritable easily? Do you suffer from anxiety or some depression? Very interesting, important bits of information to get to that right remedy. The last thing I would say is that we ask for just general symptoms, things that you may not think to say, but that could be really important to us. Something that may be peculiar about your case, something unique in particular. These are the things that are hidden clues to find that right remedy for you. And lastly, really just to be open and honest about it. If you don't feel comfortable sharing at first, and that's okay. There's always going to be time to open up. But the sooner you can be detailed with your symptoms, the quicker it will be to get to that final remedy. Now, for any information, if you're confused or still unclear about anything, feel free to contact me. I love questions. I love hearing from interested patients or existing patients. It's really important that everyone's clear with what to expect, and so feel free to contact me and send me an email at any time.